The hold down for the miter saw was designed for making smaller cuts that are just too dangerous to make on the table saw. The swinging guard was designed for making the regular cuts that you make every day, such as trimming or making cabinet frames. It allows you to safely hold the board down close to the blade to ensure a good, clean, precise cut. And now let's take a look at how they work. This is our swinging guard for the miter saw. No matter where you swing the saw, you've always got a guard between you and the blade. I'm going to take this one off now, and I want to show you something here that might kind of surprise you, and that's how close we're getting to the blade. I'm going to put this piece in here like so, and I'm going to hold it like I normally hold it down. And be honest with yourself, if you try this, hold it like you normally do. Then I'm going to put a mark here next to my index finger, so it shows where my finger is. Then I'm going to put the guard back on, and I'm going to make this cut. Now, you can see where my index finger was and where the cut was. That's about 1.25 inches to 1.5 inches away. And on a table saw, they've always taught us, don't get closer than 6 inches, closer to the blade than 6 inches, because it's just too dangerous. Well, here we are, 1.5 inches away from the blade, and it's if you get in this saw, it does a lot more damage than a table saw. But with a table saw, we're pushing a board through. We're just holding it in place. So this doesn't seem so dangerous. But of all the people that I have talked to that have gotten hurt with this machine, they really don't know what happened. They're holding it, they said all of a sudden something caught, something went wrong, and they got sucked into the blade, and some of them had some terrible injuries. I saw one cut right across his hand, fingers missing, just really bad injuries that they got on this saw, and it went so quick that they just didn't know what happened. So here, you can hold it like you always did, but you've got a guard between there so that you can't get in the blade. So that just shows how close we're coming to that blade. And with the guards on, we don't have to, worry about getting into the blade. Now, the main thing that I want to show with this demo is that you can make cuts just like you've always made, without the guard getting in the way, so that you can be both efficient and safe. Now, what I want to show here is the only way that you could get your hand in that blade now is lay your hand down flat and shove it in under the blade. And you would have to do that on purpose, because there's no way you could slip, because try to get one finger in, it catches, or the rest of your hand catches. It's hard to get in there. But what we've done is, like, say that you're trimming and you're using 2.25 inch trim, or 2.5, whatever it is. You slide this little plate over, and that closes up the whole area except where your hand is. And if you're just making 2.25 inch trim, if that's what you're using, you're trimming out a house, just slide that over and use it. Now, say you're making, we'll swing this over like so, or we can leave it like it was, probably shows up better. But say we're making some cuts like this, and we're making a lot of these small cuts. We just slide this over, and that closes up the gap so we can't get in there. So this little plate works really well. Now, the only drawback we have with that is when you're cutting a flat board, you can only go about 4 inches with this guide on. There's just 2 little thumb screws you take off, and you take it off. Then you can cut an 8-inch board without any problem. But in so many times, it's so easy to slide this over and you have it in place. And the only time it would interfere, like I said, is when you're cutting a big board. Now, if you're cutting a big 8-inch board, rather than take this off, you probably wouldn't need this. Just lift it off, cut your 8-inch board, because you can hold that clear back here without hurting anything. And see, this goes on and off so fast. You just pick it up and set it on. You want to take it off, you just lift it off and on. So it's no problem. It's quicker to do that than take the guard off. Then the guard is always here when you want it. So that gives just a little more protection in it, and just no way you could get in the blade when you have this slid over. And now we'll go ahead and make some live cuts and show how they work on here. There, now I want to make some cuts and just show you how safely and how accurately we can do them. Now we've got this piece here that we want to cut into maybe 4 or 5 inch lengths. So we put this stop on here to stop, to hold it over. Then we hold it down here and just simply cut it. Slide it over, hold it, make the cut. And these are so very, very accurate. Now you could do them with the cross cut on a table saw, but it would be a lot more dangerous, and I don't think you can get the ends as accurate as you can on here. So this was done very safely and very accurately. Now we'll take the stop off, and say you want to cut a little piece like this. This length piece you can cut safely on there, because you have to be able to hold this firmly in place so it can't catch and kick it out of your hands. If you go any smaller than this, then I like to use the hold down instead of the guide here. So now this is long enough that we can hold that in there and get it nice and firm without it kicking out. And see, we made that cut real smooth, and there again we made it real safe. Now, we were talking about cutting an 8-inch board. We're just going to lift this off. This could be a long 8-inch board, but see, I can hold that clear back here. So I'm pretty safe making it. But now, say I want to cut 1 inch off of this, the 8-inch way. There's no way I'd do that, because when you're holding that, I don't care where you're holding it, if that blade grabs it and that turns, your hand follows it and goes right into the blade. So if you're going to cut something like this, even though you have this on there, and now you want to make this cut, this stuff goes on so fast that all you do is just lift this off, come over here and put your hold down on, put it in the hold down, hold it down with your fingers, and now you're going to make a perfectly precise and a very safe. See, for safety and accuracy, you just can't beat it. Now I'm pulling this off, but we're going back to make some other cuts, and look how fast you can go back and forth with that. It's just so easy to do. I want to make a cut here. I want to make a 45 on this piece of trim. Now what I want to show on here is our marking system. We come up with a very unique marking system on here that really speeds up production. We don't use a laser, and we never look at the blade, and we'll split the mark every time. Now we just hold this up here, we line up 2 points, and that's all there is to it to line up. You make the cut and you split the mark. It splits it every time. That's just how fast you set it up. You never have to. How many times have you cut a piece of trim and you didn't get it just right and you nicked it up here and then it's too short and you got to throw it away? That never happens with this. But as fast as I set that up and as accurate it is, wherever you put that mark and you put up there and line up those 2 points, it's going to be right on the money every time. So it really speeds up production. It just keeps your hands so safe on here. And it's really kind of fun doing stuff here because you don't have to worry about you getting your fingers in there. An amateur can have a lot of fun with something like this. And I'll tell you, we've had people using this. And we've had a lot of people say, well, I never got hurt on a saw like that. I said, after they've used it a week or so, I said, take one off. See how you like running without it. And boy, it was right away. They put it back on. Because once you use it, and once you've realized how close you're coming to that blade, you just won't make another cut without these on there. So that shows what these are. They're just a great product. Now that you've seen the guard work, you see why it does what it was designed to do. First of all, it keeps you and your men safe. Next, it helps to make more precise cuts and it speeds up production. You know, I've had a lot of people tell me that they're not afraid of getting hurt on this saw. Don't be fooled. It can and it has gotten a lot of people that are now missing fingers. Try it in your own shop for a couple of weeks, and if you're like most people, you'll never want to make another cut without it.